The receptionist barely looked up as another applicant stepped through the courthouse doors. Monday mornings were always the busiest. Dozens of people waited in line, hoping to find work inside one of California's largest county courthouses. Some were looking for office jobs. Others applied for maintenance or janitorial positions. The man standing quietly at the end of the line carried everything he owned inside a faded backpack. His name was Daniel James Carter. To everyone around him, he looked like another homeless man searching for any job he could find. No one knew that years earlier, Daniel had spent nearly 15 years working inside law offices, helping attorneys prepare difficult cases, organizing evidence, and assisting families who desperately needed legal help. Life, however, had changed faster than anyone could imagine. 4 years earlier, Daniel's wife, Emily, had been diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer. At first, he tried balancing work and hospital visits. Soon, that became impossible. Every treatment required another appointment. Every appointment meant another day away from work. Without hesitation, Daniel resigned from the career he loved. For nearly 3 years, he became his wife's full-time caregiver. He never regretted that decision. Not once. When Emily finally passed away, Daniel discovered that love sometimes leaves behind more than memories. Medical bills, credit card debt, unpaid rent. Within months, everything he had worked for disappeared. His apartment was gone. His savings were gone. Eventually, even his car became his home. Still, every morning before sunrise, Daniel parked near the public library, shaved inside the restroom, ironed his shirt as neatly as possible using the hand dryer, and reminded himself of one promise. Keep your dignity. Never stop trying. That Monday morning, he found an online listing. County courthouse. Janitorial staff needed. Full-time. Health insurance after 90 days. It wasn't the career he once dreamed about, but honest work was still honest work. Daniel smiled quietly. Maybe this is the fresh start I need. Inside the courthouse, polished marble floors reflected the morning sunlight. Lawyers hurried toward courtrooms carrying thick files. Judges walked through private hallways preparing for hearings. No one noticed Daniel, except the receptionist. She slid a clipboard toward him without looking up. "Please complete the application." "Thank you," Daniel replied politely. He sat alone in the waiting area. The questions were simple. Name, address, emergency contact, previous employment. When he reached the work history section, he paused. Should he write the truth? Would anyone believe that someone who had once worked in legal offices was now applying to mop hallways? After a deep breath, he wrote everything honestly. Legal assistant, senior paralegal, case research coordinator. Finally, he carefully printed his full legal name, Daniel James Carter. His handwriting remained steady despite everything life had taken from him. He returned the application with a grateful smile. "When should I expect a response?" The receptionist shrugged. "Maybe a week." Daniel nodded. "I understand." As he turned toward the exit, another employee approached him. "Mr. Carter?" "Yes?" "Our hiring supervisor has a few minutes if you'd like a short interview today." Daniel smiled. "I'd appreciate that." The interview lasted barely 15 minutes. Facilities manager Robert Hayes studied Daniel's resume several times. "You've worked in legal offices." "I have." "So why apply for janitorial work?" Daniel answered without embarrassment. "Because I need honest work." Robert leaned back. You know this position doesn't require your previous experience. I know. Some people would consider this a step backward. Daniel smiled gently. I don't believe honest work is ever a step backward. Robert couldn't help smiling. I like that answer. Before Daniel left, Robert shook his hand. We'll let you know soon. Daniel thanked him and quietly walked back toward the parking lot. Facilities manager Robert Hayes studied Daniel's resume several times. You've worked in legal offices. I have. So why apply for janitorial work? Daniel answered without embarrassment. Because I need honest work. Robert leaned back. You know this position doesn't require your previous experience. I know. Some people would consider this a step backward. Daniel smiled gently. I don't believe honest work is ever a step backward. Robert couldn't help smiling. I like that answer. Before Daniel left, Robert shook his hand. We'll let you know soon. Daniel thanked him and quietly walked back toward the parking lot. He had no expectations. Every interview over the past 4 months had ended exactly the same way. We'll call you. No one ever did. Several floors above, Billionaire Chief Justice Victoria Langford was reviewing a stack of employment files between court sessions. Years before joining the judiciary, she had built one of the country's most successful legal technology companies before selling it for billions of dollars. Despite her busy schedule, she insisted on personally reviewing applications connected to the courthouse's community employment program. Most files took less than 5 seconds.
Sign.
Approve.
Next. Until one application stopped her completely. Her pen froze. She slowly read the name again. Daniel James Carter.
The office suddenly felt silent. Her assistant noticed immediately. Your Honor, is something wrong? Victoria didn't answer. Instead, she whispered, almost to herself. Carter. It can't possibly be. She leaned back in her chair as memories she hadn't thought about in nearly 30 years began returning one by one. A small university library. A frightened young law student. An unpaid tuition bill. And one woman. Margaret Carter. The woman whose kindness had changed the course of her entire life. Victoria slowly closed the application. Then she looked at her assistant. Please contact Human Resources. Yes, Your Honor? I don't want this application processed yet. The assistant looked confused. Is there a problem with the applicant?
Victoria looked once more at the name written across the page. No. Her voice became almost emotional. I'd like to meet Mr. Carter, personally.